Section 2.2 on the second day, we just continued to practice using Gauss-Jordan. So we're going to start by solving a system of 2 equations using Gauss-Jordan, and then we'll do a system of 3 equations using Gauss-Jordan. So here's our initial system of equations. 2x minus 3y equals a -8. We also have 4x plus y equals a -2. So the first step is to turn it into its augmented matrix. So the matrix that would go along with this system would be 2, -3, -8, followed by a 4, 1, -2. Now we need to row reduce it. So in order to row reduce, we know we need a 1 in this spot. To get the 1, I'm going to come in and take 1/2 of row 1. That would give me a 1, a -3/2, and a -4. The next row is going to remain the same because we're not manipulating it yet. So all we did is we came in and took this row and cut it in half. So we got 1, a -3/2, and a -4. The next goal is to get a 0 where the 4 is. So let's come in and take row 2 minus 4 times row 1. And again, I would write this right here, but the board is only so big. The first row is not going to change because we're not manipulating it in this manipulation or arithmetic. So we're going to take 4 minus 4, which gives me 0. I have the 1 minus 4 times that -3/2. So that'd be 1 plus 12/2, that's 6. 1 plus 6 is 7, so that's going to give me a 7. In the next spot, we have the -2 minus 4 times a -4. That's a positive 16. -2 plus 16 is going to give me 14. So again, let's go through that one more time just to make sure. The first step we did is we took the 4 that was in the first column minus 4 times the 1 that's in the first row, and 4 minus 4 gives me the 0. That's this 0. We took this 1 minus 4 times this -3/2. This one is equal to 7. And then we took the -2 minus 4 times the -4, which gave us a 14, which we wrote here. So that's all just scratch work. That's just me doing arithmetic and showing you. I'm going to erase that. It's not part of the actual answer. Okay, so our first column is the unit column that we need. So moving on to the next column, we need the 1 in the column first. So let's just come in and do 1/7 of row 2. So that'll give me my 1, my -3/2, and my -4. Again, we didn't touch the first row. All we're doing is manipulating or changing the second row. So 1/7 of 0 is still 0. 1/7 times 7 is now 1, and 1/7 of 14 is 2. So now the 1 is where we need to be. So only one more manipulation and we're done. We now need a 0 right here. So to do that, we're going to start with row 1. We're going to add 3/2 of row 2. So if I multiply this 1 by 3/2 and add it to the -3/2, we'll get our 0 like we need. So, we know that 1 plus 3/2 is 0. That's 1 plus 0 is 1. -3/2 plus 3/2 is 0. Okay, in the next spot, we've got the -4 plus 3/2 times 2. That's this -4 plus 3/2 times 2. Well, those are going to cancel. That's a -4 plus 3, which is just a -1. The bottom row will copy over. And we're done. It's now row reduced. We know that because we have the 1 on the diagonals, 0 in the other spots to the left of the bar. So this is our solution. So we now know that x is equal to -1 and y is equal to 2. And again, you can check it by just plugging those numbers back in for the x and y. So if I plug it into this one, 2 times the -1 is -2 minus 6. That's 3 times the 2. -2 minus 6 is a -8. So it definitely works. Let's go do a system of 3 equations, which we haven't tackled yet, but we need some practice with it. So let's go do one of those. And as you can expect with 3 equations and 3 unknowns, it's going to take us a little longer to do this one. So our system of equation is 3x minus 2y plus 8z is equal to 9. We also have -2x plus 2y plus z is equal to 3. And then our final solution is our final equation, x plus 2y minus 3z is equal to 8. So the first step is to take it into the matrix. And don't forget that we can come in and do some swapping of rows as we write them over. So it's possible that I could come in and if I had one with a 1 in it, write it as the first one. So I'm actually going to take this one and write it as my first row because it already has 1. So that would give me the 1, the 2, -3, and 8 that I need. Doesn't matter on the other two, so I'll just copy them over. 3, -2, 8, 9, and then we'll use the second equation as our last row. So -2, 2, 1, and 3. You always want to make sure that you're copying things from spot to spot to spot correctly, because if you make a mistake, that's usually where you're going to make it. So I'm just going to double check before I move on. I've got a 1, a 2, a -3, and the 8. I have 3, -2, 8, 9. I have -2, +2, 1, and 3. We're good to go. We've already done the first row. The first row has the 1s. Now we're going to work on getting the 0 in this spot and also in this spot. And I'm going to do both of those in the same transfer to the next matrix. So to get the 1 here, we're going to do row 2 -3 times row 1. So that's this row -3 times this row. Now the first row is not going to change. So it's still 1, 2. You know what? I think I'm going to write that down. I don't think I have enough room to do the next spot. So I might as well move it down right now so we can all see it. So the top row is still 1, 2, -3, and 8. Okay, so 3 - 3 is 0. I have -2 -3 times 2. So it's this -2 -3 times this 2. That's going to give me a -8. I have 8 -3 times -3. That's this 8 -3 times that -3. Well, that's a +9 plus 8 is 17. We now have 9 -3 times 8. That's this 9 -3 times this 8. 9 - 24 is what, 15? And -9 - 24. Yeah, -15. Okay, and as long as we're rewriting things, let's go ahead and get the 0 here. So we're going to take row 3 +2 times row 1. And this time it's a positive because this one's a negative. So in order to get these guys to add to 0, we're going to have to multiply this by 2 and add. So we have row 3 +2 times row 1. So that would be -2 + 2, which is 0. I now have this 2 +2 times 2. So that's this 2 +2 times this 2, which is going to give me 6. I have 1 + 2 times a -3. It's going to give me a -5. And then we're going to end up with 1 plus, sorry, I lost myself. That's 3 plus 2 times 8. That's 16 plus 3 is 19. And that's where we're at right now. Hopefully you have no comments or questions about that. Again, scratch work, I'm going to get rid of it. It's just helping us follow each other. So the first column is good to go. We're now going to go to the second column and manipulate it. What we're going to do here is we need the 1 in this spot first. So to get that, we're going to come in and do a -1/8 of row 2. A -1/8 of row 2. I'm going to copy everything else over the way it is. That's the 1, the 2, the -3, and the 8. Getting caught up in my cord. The bottom row is also fine, so I'm going to go ahead and copy it over as long as I'm just copying for right now. So again, all we're manipulating is the middle row, and that's to get the 1 here. So 0 times anything is 0. -8 times -1/8 is going to give us a +1. 17 times a -8 is a -17 over 8. -15 times a -1/8 is going to give me a +15 over 8. So again, we see some fractions. It's okay. You can use your calculator to do the fractions, but don't go to a decimal. You should be able to do this with the fractions. Okay, we've got our 1. So now we need a 0 here and we need a 0 here. And to get those, we're going to manipulate or combine with the row that has the 1. So to get the 1 or the 0 in this spot, we're going to do row 1 -2 times row 2. So that's multiplying this by 2 and subtracting from here. So 1 minus 0 is still 0. 2 minus 2 is going to give me my 0. And now we have a -3 minus 2 times a -17 over 8. So that's going to give me a positive. Yeah, let's do some work on it. So it's 17 fourths. This is 12 fourths. So again, I expect you're going to do it all on your calculator. Plus 17 fourths is going to give me 5/4. Then on the other side, we have 8 minus 2 times the 15/8. Same kind of manipulation again, only then to 4ths. 8 would be 32 minus the 15/4 is 17/4, which feels pretty good because they both have 4s in their denominators, so that's a nice thing to be keeping everything going forward. Second row is fine the way it is, so we'll have our 0, our 1, our negative 17/8, and our 15/8. And now we're going to come in and get the 1 right there. So to do that, we're going to do row 3 minus 6 times row 1. So that's this number minus 6 times the 1. That's a row 2. Hopefully you caught that. We always want to multiply the row that has the 1 by something to add to get to 0. So again, 0 minus 0 is still 0. We now have 6 minus 6, which is 0. We now have a negative 5 minus 6 times a negative is 17/8. Definitely not as nice as the last one. That's going to give me a 3. That'll give me a 4. That's what? 21/51. So that's plus 51/4. 5 would be a negative 20/4. So I'm getting 31/4. Yep, 31/4. Not a very nice number. Okay, let's do the last spot. So now we have that 19 minus 6 times the 15/8. Same manipulation again. It's 45/4. 4 times 19 would be 76/4. Yeah, 76/4 minus 45/4 is 31/4, which feels really good right now. Yay! So there's the next row. Again, you're more than welcome to just use your calculator and do the fraction work on the calculator. I'm not testing your 5th grade math right here. Okay, yay, we've got the first 2 columns where they need to be. So now we need to come in and get this guy to be a 1. So all we have to do is take 4/31 times row 3. So that'll give me my bottom row of 0, 0, 1, 1, which is really nice. The other 2 are the same. They are. I'm running out of room here, so I'm going to have to do some erasing, but we're just going to copy these over. So I have 1, 0, 5/4 and 17/4. I have 0, 1, negative 17/8 and 15/8. And because I'm out of room, I'm going to go back up here and erase the original equations and transfer everything up. So we now need a 0 here. We need a 0 here. To get this 0, we're going to take row 1 minus, we're going to multiply this guy by 5/4 of row 3. So notice it does not mess up what we've already done. 1 minus this, 1 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is still going to give me 0. So we have a 1, we have a 0. 5/4 minus 5/4 is 0. And now we have 17/4 minus 5/4, which is 12/4, which is 3. It works out really nice. So again, I had the 17/4 that was there minus 5/4 times 1. That's just 17/4 minus 5/4, which is 12/4 or 3. Now we got to get a 0 here. So we're going to come in and take row 2 plus this time 17/8 times row 3. Again, multiplying this guy by 17/8 and adding it to this one will give us our 0. We're not going to mess up the first 2 entries. So we have 0, 1. We know we've got a 0. Negative 17/8 plus 17/8 is 0. What about the next spot? It's 15/8 plus 17/8. That's 32/8. 32/8 is 4. Nice. And then we're going to have 0, 0, 1, 1. And we're done. We have now row reduced our matrix. And now we can pick up our solution. Again, remember we have an x, a y, and a z this time. So we know that our solution for x is 3. Our solution for y is 4. And we know that z is equal to 1. And again, a reminder that that's because it's 1x, no y, no z. So 1x equals 3. This is 1y is equal to 4. And this is 1z is equal to 1. And there's a system of 3 equations and 3 unknowns.